Let's talk about what you need to do if you have prior year inventory that you need to enter on your spreadsheet, whether that is going to be raw materials and supplies or finished goods. So you got this spreadsheet and you've been in business for a while, or maybe you're just starting. Either way, you have inventory that you purchased from a prior year that you need to get into the spreadsheet. You want to get up to date for this point in time, so you want to go ahead and set aside some time to enter all of that old inventory into the spreadsheet so that you can get caught up and up to date as of now. So here's the kicker with entering prior year inventory that we need to think about. One of our biggest end goals with using this spreadsheet is that we have the numbers we need for tax purposes for inventory, and that is knowing your total inventory purchases throughout the year and your cost of ending inventory. So the spreadsheet will calculate your total purchases for you, but I don't want you to include any number in your total purchases for the year that you already included in a prior year's tax form. So if you already included it in like last year's tax number for your inventory purchases, you don't want to include it in your purchases this year because it's part of this year's beginning inventory. You still need to enter it in your spreadsheet, but we want to tell the spreadsheet to ignore the cost of it when it comes to calculating your total purchases for the year. We need it in here because it's still in our inventory. It's still part of our ending inventory number, but it's not part of our purchases for the year. This is assuming that you had a Schedule C last year and that you did the Schedule C correctly and included the inventory where it needed to be included. So if that's the case, then you would enter your fabric just like normal. The only thing that you would do differently is type a yes here. I already included this for inventory purchases last year, so I don't want to include that $12 purchase cost on this year's tax return. Just putting that simple yes in this column tells the spreadsheet don't count the cost. It'll still keep it in your ending inventory. See that $12 is still included in your ending inventory, but it's not included in your purchases. So see, if I delete this yes right here, it is included in my purchases because it's going to assume it's a new thing. If I put that yes there, then it's not included. And you might be looking at this and being like, why is it already saying your COGS deduction is equal to that 12? And that's just because I don't have a beginning inventory number here. So this is left blank, so you can put in whatever you started the year with according to your tax return from last year. If you didn't do a tax return last year, then that will be 0. So let me cover this again because I know that some of you out there might be saying, ooh, I did buy this in a prior year, but I either didn't do a Schedule C last year because this is my first year in business, or I didn't do it correctly or whatever. So if you bought this last year, but maybe you weren't in business yet, so you didn't do a Schedule C, you can still include that amount in your purchases for the year, even though you bought it in a prior year. As long as you still have the receipt showing this business purchase and showing that it was $12 for this fabric, even though it was from a prior year, you can still include it in this year's total inventory purchases. So just to repeat that, this column needs to be blank if you want the purchase amount included on taxes. And if you put anything in it, then it's going to not include that cost there. So ideally you're putting yes, and it's not going to look at it, but the formula is actually written to where if you put anything here, so I could just put X, and it's going to take that cost out. So if you put anything in this column, it's going to not include the cost of that inventory for your total tax number. So if you're trying to play catch up and enter materials and supplies that you already have on hand from last year, maybe from another spreadsheet or another inventory system, or you're just getting caught up on inventory for the first time, you want to go ahead and enter it as normal, enter the total cost, enter the total units purchased and just put a yes here if you already included it in your total inventory purchases in another year on your tax return. Another big question that you might have about this is, I bought this fabric last year, I used some of it, and now I'm entering in this inventory system for the first time. Do I put what I actually bought with the original purchase, or do I just enter what I have on hand right now? You can actually enter what you bought with the original purchase here. So let's say I know I have this fabric. I originally bought it in 2017, but I know I only have 200 square inches of it left. You can still enter the original amount, $12, 256 units, and then just have your units remaining be equal to what you really have on hand right now. That is going to get your units remaining up to date with what you started the year with. When it comes to entering finished goods in your spreadsheet from a prior year, this is pretty easy, and we haven't covered how to enter finished goods in general yet, but just know that you'd basically fill out all the regular information here. Unlike the inventory cost and pricing original spreadsheet, this tab is not linked to your pricing and cost of goods made tabs, so you can just input anything you want. You'd go to whatever inventory tab you wanted to enter this on. If you are entering this from a system that you have been using, you likely already know the cost of goods made and the retail price. You would just enter the beginning year units that you're starting with now, and leave quantity created this year blank because you haven't made any yet. And then this way you're able to mark things sold or mark things taken out for personal use and have them included in your ending units from this point on in time going forward. And we'll cover more on how to use this tab later. I just wanted to let you know that you can update both the materials tabs and the finished good tabs for items that you might have had prior to having this spreadsheet from a previous year.